Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, post-student b.sc student. This is your second semester of your programs. And the second semester of program, the course which is allocated to me is the Biostats. My name is Sher Muhammad Hazara. I am the course coordinator of the Biostats, which is I have been teaching for last 8 years the biostats and epidemiology and the research to the BA undergraduates program at the College of Nursing. I have done the masters in epidemiology and biostats from the renowned University of the Dow University of Health Sciences, Karachi, and I also done the MSPH, Master of Science in Public Health, and another renowned university of the Health Services Academy at the near of the NIH Chak Shehzad, which is affiliated from the Quaid-e-Azam University. And I also done the post-student BSN from the renowned school, the Aga Khan School of Nursing, Karachi. Actually, the Biostats is the 3 credit course. The 3 credit course means if it is a theoretical course, means 3 hours courses should be allocated should be teach in a per week. But we segmentize this 3 credit course. It is actually segmentized in your curriculum, the post-student BSN curriculum, which is of the PNC. That's 2 credit from the out of the 3 credit course, 2 credit courses allocated for the theoretical classes to understand the basic concept of the biostats, or to understand the basic concept of the different units of the statistics contents. And the 1 credit course we allocated for the tutorial program, in which we do the we solve the statistical numericals and practically manually on the different software or the calculator, or manually by our hands, to understand how this theoretical concept we will apply in the practically to solve the numerical problems of the statistics. Then we can understand what is this theoretical concept of the biostats is actually says. So after this, definitely we will go to learn about what is the statistics. In the 2-day session, we will go to learn about what is the statistics and what is the biostats, and what is the difference between the population, and what is the difference between the population and the sample, what is the difference between the parameter and what is the statistics, and what is the data and what is the variable, what are the different types of the data and what are the different types of the variable, how you will go to measure these variable and the data. So first of all, we will go to start from the definitions of the statistics. But before to learn about the definition of the statistics of the static course, we should be know about what's the actually difference between the maths and the statistics. Maths is a discipline, is a scientific discipline in which you use to solve the problem. You have to solve the question, mathematical question or mathematical problems, by using the deductive way. And in the mathematical, if you solve any problem, then you will come up with the concrete conclusion or with the concrete result. But if and the statistics is the mathematical discipline, but in the statistics you use the different type of the mathematical formula, but when you come up with the result or conclusion, but in the uncertainty is present in the statistics, because you use with the conclusion by collecting the certain information. On the basis of the certain information, you come up with the result, but the uncertainty is always, or probability is always present in the statistics. So what is actually the statistics definition? What is the actually statistics? It says that for the understanding of statistics, you should be keep in mind these COSI, C square OSI. By memorizing this mnemonic, you can keep in the mind the definition of the statics. By the C square is the means 2C. 1C is in the static. First of all, you will goes to collect the information, or you will goes to collect the any data. After the collection of the information or the data, definitely you will goes to classify the data or classify the information in the different type of the groups. After the classification, definitely you will goes to organize or arrange the data. The second phase, the third phase of the data after the collection and the classification, definitely you will goes to organize and arrange the data. After organizing the arranging of the data, the fourth phase of the data, you will goes to summarize it. It means summarize it by the using of the certain statistical test. After the summarizing of the data, then definitely by using of the certain statistical formula, by using some mathematical formula, either statistical formula or statistical test, then you come up with the certain result. And to understand this that particular result which is you have been drawn after the collection, after the classification, after the organizing and summarization of the data, then definitely you have been come up with the particular result. To give the meaning to this the particular result which is you have been drawn from the certain data, that is called the interpretation of the data. Interpretation of the data. It is the last steps of your statistics. So it is all about the statistics. Now the statistics, if you will goes to use it in the field of the medical science, like in the medical field, in the medical programs, or in the nursing field, or you will goes to use in the allied health sciences, or if you will go to use in the psychology or in the psychiatry or any field of the medical sciences, that's called the biostats. And then statistics will goes to convert into the biostats. So after what is the statistics word is referred to? Why we use the statistics? If you see, from the day of the you come up in this world till to the graveyard, you at the till of the morning, if you wake up, you open your eyes till to the again you will go to the bed. The whole day in the daily life you will come across from the different type of the numbers, and these numbers is come up of the in the different form, and these numbers have the different type of the characteristic, and these number which is you have been come crossing in the daily life activities, they have the different type of the characteristic, they have the different type of the variability, and they have the different type of the sort of the conclusions. Definitely, suppose if you are working in the ER as a charge nurse, from the 8 p.m. when you come up, come up in your morning duty till to the 2 p.m. How many numbers of the traffic accident patient has come up in your duty hours? This is again is the numbers. How many the accident cases come up with a different type? It is the bike accident, or is the motor car accident, or is the truck, or it is any heavy vehicles. This again is a sort of the data. This again is the data. It is again is you come across from the different type of the numbers. And then definitely you are studying in the post-RN BSN program. How many students you have enrolled in the post-RN BSN program in 2020 and 22, and what is the size of your class? This is again is the numbers. This again is the data and statistics. And how many ratio of the male and female in your class? This is again is the data. And how many patients or different type of the patients are visiting at the MCA center, the bone centers, in the children's hospital, and in the main emergency, in the old emergency, and the new emergency, and also in the trauma center, and also the number of the patients are visiting in the cardiac center, how many of these 7 to 5,000 patients which are visiting in the PIMS hospital on a daily basis, and how many proportion or percentage they are going to be for the admission, or they are going to be inducted for the surgery, or they are admitted for the surgery procedure, or for the surgical procedure, or for the any diagnostic procedures. So this is all of the statistics, this is all of the data or the information. So for the data characteristic, what are the characteristic of the data? The characteristic of the data, we are going to actually measure the characteristic of the data. Suppose just like the how many actually suppose 3 lakh household in the Islamabad city, but what are the actual average household size in the Islamabad? This average household of the size of the household in the Islamabad, this is the actually you are going to measuring the characteristic of the household. So the second one, if you are, what is the prevalence of the smoking in the school going children in the Islamabad city? This again is the characteristic you are going to be measure of the smoking habits of the school going children. And what is the inflation rate in the Pakistan or in the Islamabad? So you can also measuring the inflation rate. What are the infant mortality rate in the Islamabad city or in the preferred area of the Islamabad city? How many percentage of the Islamabad population is access to the healthcare services or universal healthcare coverage? What are the immunization coverage proportion or percentage in the Islamabad city? This is, and the how many the average children in the family of the how in the ICT of the Islamabad, and what are the percentage of the population or the residency of the Islamabad access to the pure water, and how many percentage of the Islamabad city or residency of the Islamabad citizen cannot access the safe water. See, these are the characteristics which you are going to be measured. These are the you are going to be measured the characteristic of the information of the data in the statistics. So what's the why you have to need to learn about the biostats? Why you have to need to go through from this course? Definitely, as a being of the healthcare professional, as a being of the nursing professional, as a being of the medical profession, you have to be need of to learn the biostats to understand the evidence, to collect the evidences, and these evidences you will go to collect by the collecting the information, by conducting the small size of the surveys, by this different type of the cross-sectional studies, or by the small type of the survey which is you are conducting in your field, or you're in a hospital, or in a hospital setup, or the clinical setups. You can you have to need to be enough competent in the biostats course. Then you are able to be collect the information and to some classify the information. Then you can do the summarize, organize and summarize and interpret the data. So for this concept, for this experience, you have to be need of the biostats to learn it for your research projects. And the second one, you should always to be well aware, or you are become a more proficient to deal with the numbers, to deal with the to enter the data or the numbers on the computer, or you can calculate the number and proportion or percentage, or any other statistical analysis on your computer by any software in the SPSS and the Minitab, in the Excels or the SAS or states, or you are using the any scientific calculator to measure the particular type of the data for your meaningful result for your research project, for your survey. So you need to be enough confident in the biostats course. So what is the others area why you have been to need? Definitely you have been in the biostats in the post and BSc program. When you reach in the 4th semester, definitely you will go for your research project in the elective course. In the elective course, you have to be need the research project. You have to be need to conduct the research project in the 4th semester. So for this research project of your research project, you have to be need to understand the biostats. You be enough competent in the biostats. So how you will go to collect the information, and how you will go after collection, summarization. Then you will go up with the meaningful result, and then this meaningful result you have to be need to give the meaningful interpretations. What this your data result will say in the last. So for your research project, and the second one, while you're different in the different courses like in epidemiology and public health and community health, you have been go through from the different type of the research articles. To read the research article, to understand the research article, what this research article says, what's the result of this research article says, what's the conclusion, the recommendation of this research article says for this particular topic of the area of the research project. So you have to need to be enough competent in the biostat, then you can understand this research project's result. And the second one, definitely after your conducting of your research project in the last semester of your post or BSc program, definitely you will, after conducting the research program, you will go to definitely for the publication of your research project. For the publication of research project, you have to need to the enough competent in your biostats course. Okay. So after the learning of the biostats, what's the actual of the statistician's work responsibility? The sometime what's happening in the practical field, a principal investigator, the research investigator, they conduct the research project. They conducted the research project, but after when collecting the information, they are totally unaware about the data collection. They are totally unaware how to use the different type of the statistical test to analyze this data set and come up with the some certain conclusion. So for in this stage, when the researcher or the principal investigator become a puzzle and struck off and that particular about their in the research project, so he has to need of the statistician. So at that time the statistician can help out of that particular researcher or investigator in their research project, and he give the meaningful result or interpret the result of that particular data which has been collected by the certain investigator or researchers. And after the statistician is also give the instruction or help out of the investigator or the researcher. For the different type of the data, you have to be need of the different type of the graphical presentation, and the graphical presentation of the data, it's give the more visualizations, or give the more understanding of the data for the reader, for the audience to whom you are going to be present your research project. This is all help out by the statisticians. Now the second one we will go to the another terms which is I told you earlier in my objective of the today's session. This is what is the population and what is the sample. Population and what is sample. The population, if you want, suppose if you want to conduct a study of the, you want to see the low back pain in the RN nurses. So if you want to conduct in the all nurses in the whole the Islamabad, if in the whole of the country, if you want to conduct the study to see the assess the low back pain in the nurses which are working in the high dependency area. Suppose now we have to 1,10,000 around 1,10,000 are nurses registered in Pakistan. Okay, and 1,10,000, suppose 5,000 nurses, 50,000 around 50,000. Suppose 50,000 nurses are working in the high dependency area, means in ICU, CCU, and the 30,000. Suppose 30,000 are the nurses. Suppose 30,000 are working in the high dependency area, in the ICU, CCU, ER, in the different high dependency area. Now these 30,000, which is the population, is a huge population in the all over the Pakistan. It's very difficult to you conduct the study to induct all the 30,000 which is all working the different area of the whole the Islamabad for your research project. Definitely you will go to select the subset from this 30,000 of the high dependency area to assess the low back pain in the among the nurses which are working the high dependency area. You will select the 5,000 nurses, RN nurses which are working the high dependency units or area. So these the whole populations, the whole units, the entire population which is are working, all the nurses which is are working the high dependency area. This is the population. If you go to select the 5,000 nurses of the high dependency area for your research project to assess the low back pain in the among the nurses which are working in the high dependency area, these 5,000 is the subset of the population. Of which population? Of the which are working in the high dependency area. And these 5,000 are the nurses are the sample size. These 5,000 are the sample size, and these 5,000 are nurses which are selected from the which is the subset of this population of the high dependency. This is called the sample. Okay. Now, if you will go to measure, if you measure the characteristic of population of this population is called the parameter. If you want to measure the characteristic of the whole population which is are working in the high dependency area, this is called the parameter. If you want to measure the characteristic, of this sample, 5,000 sample of the nurses which is you have been selected from your population of the high dependency A units, by using the certain type of the formula, you draw with the 5,000 sample size, and now you want to measure the characteristic of this 5,000 sample size. This called is the statistics. So to measure the characteristic of the population is called the sample size. To measure the characteristic of the population is called the parameter, and if you want to measure the characteristic of the sample size is called the statistics. So we hold our session of the half of our lecture session of the objectives we will hold over here to understand the concept of the biostatistics. So in the last I summarize a little bit very soonly of the today's session. What we learned in the today's session, we learned about what is the biostatistics, what is the statistics, what is the definition of the statistics, what is the difference between the maths and the statistics, and what is the biostats when we use the statics discipline in the field of the medical science, that's converted into the biostats. So what is the where we use the statics, where we use the number and the data? Definitely with the whole day and the daily life we are come across from the different type of the numbers, and we as a being of the nursing professional, as being of the medical professional, we are come crossing with the different type of the numbers, which is I have been shared with you in the today's sessions. And then we learn about the what is the population and what is the statistics and what is the difference between the measurement of the characteristic of the population, which is called the parameter, and what is statistics, which is by statistics we will go to measure the characteristic of the sample size. I hope you have learned a lot, or it is a clear the concept about the statistics and the biostats in the today's session. If you any sort of the inquiry or the question, you can comments me in my YouTube channel inbox, or you can email me your question or queries, then I will give the answer, or I will reply it. Okay. And the end of the session, thank you all. And the last, I will prepare my all the biostats lecture or through the YouTube channel. So I will be upload my videos on my YouTube channel. Please watch this video lecture, which is very learning session, and also subscribe it. Thank you so much.